In late October 2025, Prime Minister Narendra Modi told Indian naval officers that Indian Navy was the guardian of the Indian Ocean. Less than 5 months later, a US submarine torpedoed an Iranian warship about 44 nautical miles off the coast of Sri Lanka. The incident has drawn attention to India's role and influence in the Indian Ocean region. What happened on March 4? The Iranian Navy frigate IRIS Dena was torpedoed and sunk by a US Navy submarine in international waters south of Sri Lanka amid the ongoing confrontation between Iran, the US, and Israel. At least 84 sailors were killed, 61 remain missing, and 32 survivors were rescued by the Sri Lankan Navy. US Defense Secretary Peter Hegseth confirmed the strike during a press conference in Washington.
In fact, yesterday, in the Indian Ocean, and we'll play it on the screen there, an American submarine sunk an Iranian warship that thought it was safe in international waters. Instead, it was sunk by a torpedo. Quiet death. The first sinking of an enemy ship by a torpedo since World War II.
The sinking drew attention because the IRIS Dena had participated only days earlier in MILAN 2026, a multilateral naval exercise hosted by India in Visakhapatnam that brought together naval delegations from 74 countries. The exercise concluded shortly before the United States and Israel launched strikes against Iran, and the Iranian ship was reportedly sailing back towards home waters when it was attacked. The sinking of an Iranian warship so close to Sri Lanka has raised questions about the circumstances surrounding the strike. One question is whether India had any prior knowledge of the US operation. Another relates to how a US submarine was able to conduct a strike in waters near India's maritime neighbourhood without detection. More than 24 hours after the incident, the Indian Navy had not issued a formal public statement. On Friday, official sources rejected speculation that India had assisted the US Navy in locating the Iranian vessel, describing such claims as baseless. They also said the existing India-US logistics and communication agreements had not been invoked. The episode has also prompted political criticism. Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge described it as a reckless abdication of India's strategic and national interests, accusing the government of allowing India's foreign policy autonomy to erode. Developments in the region have continued in the aftermath of the attack. On March 5, Sri Lanka evacuated 208 crew members from another Iranian naval vessel, which was stranded near its territorial waters. So how does this fit into India's Indian Ocean strategy? For more than a decade, India has projected itself as a key security provider in the Indian Ocean. Two policy frameworks have shaped this approach. The first is SAGAR, Security and Growth for All in the Region, announced in 2015, which focuses on maritime security cooperation, naval deployments, disaster relief, and humanitarian assistance. The second is MAHASAGAR, Mutual and Holistic Advancement for Security and Growth Across Regions, unveiled in 2025, which aims to expand India's maritime partnerships beyond the Indian Ocean region. Together, these initiatives reflect India's ambition to play a larger role in maintaining stability and security across regional waters. So, what does this mean for India's foreign policy? This episode comes at a time when India has sought to balance its relations with both Washington and Tehran. Iran remains an important partner for India's regional connectivity plans, including development of the Chabahar port. At the same time, the US is one of India's closest strategic partners. How New Delhi responds to this episode could shape perceptions of its role in the region and its ability to manage complex strategic relationships in an increasingly contested Indian Ocean.